What is up, YouTube? It has been a very long time since I have made a video, but I'm coming back at you guys with a brand new video. This is gonna be my video kind of explaining how the past couple of years have been. I haven't made a video since like April 2020, I think, so it's been almost 2 years, which blows my mind that that was 2 years ago. I'm gonna try to make this video really fast. I tried making this video already and I was talking for like 30 minutes and I wasn't even like halfway done yet. So I'm gonna try to just straight to the point, go over everything really quick so I can move on, because I've been trying to make this video for like a couple months and I just like, I've been having a really hard time trying to like break it down and talk about all this to you guys. So I got some whiskey right here that I'm gonna pour while I'm talking to you guys, try to loosen things up a little bit and make it easier. While I'm talking to you guys, I'll go ahead and throw in some clips I filmed from today. Making coffee this morning, breakfast, and some of the stuff I did today. And then also just maybe some of the clips from the past few months, try to make it entertaining while I'm sitting here blabbering on. Anyways, it's great to see you guys. Hopefully some of you guys still see this video. I don't know how YouTube's algorithm works, so you guys might not even be able to see this, but we'll see how it goes. So cheers. All right, so let me kind of tell you what I'm doing right now and then give you kind of the recap of how it all happened. So right now, Bree and I are living in Southern California, about 40 minutes north of San Diego. We have been here for the past like 4 or 5 months now. It's been absolutely great. We love it. We bought our first house, which has been amazing. Life has been really great. Still, some things that kind of are tough. I'm trying to get used to my job. I'm trying to get qualified, and there's, been some expenses here and there, but overall things are really great for us. And I am now a United States Marine, which is amazing. If any of you are watching that have been watching the past like 5 years, you know that I talked about trying to become a Marine in 2016. In 2017, I made videos about it. Didn't happen. I gave up on it. I was like, this is not gonna become a thing. I'm not gonna be able to do it. But as I will try to go over really fast in the whole thing of how it went down, it happened. I finally did it. It's been awesome. Something that is kind of looming over me, kind of controlling me, was me not accomplishing something I really wanted to do, one of my dreams. Really has like changed how I feel mentally quite a bit from how I was like 2 years ago. So let me go ahead and try to bring you guys back to actually 2019 really fast. So 2019, I was gonna join the Air Force of all things, and that ended up not working out. I'll maybe explain that whole thing later, but it's a long story and it's not really that relevant to this. Air Force, I was gonna do it. At the same time, we were living in my wife's parents' house and they decided to sell the house, which was totally okay. We appreciated living there. It was a really good price, but we were like, okay, it's ready for us to move on as well. And the market was going up pretty high, and so we didn't really have anywhere to go. And we were both working at a coffee shop, which was great as well, but it wasn't paying the bills very well. And so we were kind of stuck in a weird spot. So I was like, hey, like I'm doing the Air Force. So in the meantime, we just need something temporary. And so my parents said we could move in with them in the trailer. And we were grateful for that. I mean, it was really hard for us to go from having a house to like living in a fifth wheel trailer, but we were just grateful that we had a place to stay. It sucked quite a bit for us, staying in there and going from, all the square feet to like nothing, but it was humbling and it was good for us too. All this happened, and then we got married right after that too, in the fall of 2019. So I'm like doing the Air Force, living in a trailer, things aren't the best, but once we get married, I'm gonna do the Air Force, and then we're gonna get out of Idaho. We're gonna get out of the hometown, and I was super excited for that. And then the Air Force ended up not working out. Long story short, they were trying to force me to do a job I didn't wanna do, and they were kind of like, hey, you either take this job or we're not gonna let you join. And I was like, you know what, screw you guys, I'm not gonna join if that's how you guys are gonna be, because they wouldn't let me change my contract or whatever. It's a whole long story. Then after that, I was like, okay, cool, like at least I'm not forced to do something I don't wanna do. But then I was just sitting there living out at my parents' trailer with my new wife, working at a coffee shop, and I'm like, oh my God, like what am I doing with my life? A few months pass, things are getting kind of, I'm getting honestly pretty down on myself. Like I'm like, what the frick am I doing? Like I'm like, I am literally sitting here, I'm not providing, I'm not paying the bills. I was like, it's like somehow sliding backwards in life when I have been trying so hard to like move ahead. Then in February of 2020, a Marine recruiter calls me and he's like, hey, I see here on my computer you're supposed to join the Air Force. Why didn't that work out? So I kind of explained to him the whole thing, and he's like, well, hey, why don't you come talk to us? I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna join the freaking Marines. I had talked about this, you know, a while ago. It's something I used to want to do, but I was like, they treat people like crap. Boot camp's horrible. I was like, I'm 20, at the time I was 22 years old. I was like, 22 years old, there's no way I'm gonna go into the Marines. Like, it's not gonna happen, right? I entertained this, you know, this recruiter. He's like persistent. He's like, you gotta come in and talk to me like on Monday, and I can try to see if I can help you. And I'm like, well, maybe, you know, I could probably, and he's like, yeah. He's like, how about, you know, Monday? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can talk to you on Monday. And so I get off the phone and I'm like, go up to my wife, and I was like, she's not gonna be on board for me joining the Marines, there's no way. And I go up to her, I'm like, yeah, this Marine recruiter wanted me to come in. Like, I was like, I'm gonna join the Marines, you know, and she's like, very realistic. And she's like, well, you originally wanted to join the Marines. I feel like this is a sign from God. Like, the Air Force didn't work out. We're kind of stuck in this spot, and now the Marines wants you to join. And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember just like my heart sinking and just feeling like all types of like, holy crap. Like, can you imagine like joining the Marines, like getting on a plane and flying to boot camp and like just going through literal hell? I was like, there's no way. And that weekend, I'm like playing it over and over in my head, and I'm like, maybe I can do this. Like, maybe becoming a Marine is like, I was like, you know, I'm like starting to get excited. Like, I'm scared, I'm terrified, but I'm like, I've heard people say you want to go to whatever the scariest thing in life is, to like go for that, and that's what you need to do. Joining the military has been the scariest thing for me, but not just the military, like the Marines has been the most terrifying thing for me to do. And I was like, and this guy calls me up and is like willing to help me join, which there was a couple reasons why, like, I had been told before that I couldn't join the Marines. Maybe I'll go over that in a future video, but it was no big deal. But they told me I couldn't join originally, and I used that kind of as an excuse to not worry about joining. And this guy was willing to help me join. So a very hard thing to do, to wrap my mind around like the possibility, right? So I ended up talking to this recruiter, a good recruiter, right? And he kind of like plays out, and he's like, dude, like, you know, you're 22, we're in a coffee shop, you live in a trailer, like, what is your backup plan? Like, why aren't you in the military already? And I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, kind of making all these excuses, and I'm like, you know what? You know, this guy's kind of right. So I ended up moving forward with the Marines, and right after that, my dog Riley, who, if you guys have watched the channel for a while, you know who Riley is. He was the most amazing dog. He was a German Shepherd Doberman. He was awesome, and Riley ended up getting lymphoma right after that. You know, to get chemotherapy for him, they said to end up being able to help him with that was going to be like $2,000 to $5,000, and he would probably only live for like another year or two. I'm already devastated because he was only 5 years old. I thought he had plenty more time left, and so I'm like, well, the light just turned off, so whatever, you know, we'll roll with this. I was like, if I, you know, was in a more stable job, maybe I'd have this money to be able to try to help him with this chemotherapy. I was in such a bad spot that I didn't have the money. Plus, they said it was only, you know, another year or two he'd get super sick, and he'd be scrawny and have a lot of issues because he'd be on chemotherapy. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that to him. I'm just gonna try to make his last few months the best they can be. In March is when coronavirus hit America officially. I think it was February, March, coronavirus hit America. So all of a sudden, it's like, you can't buy toilet paper, you can't buy a lot of stuff at the grocery stores. Even going to work was scary. So we're like sitting out there in this trailer at my parents' house. Not gonna lie, my wife and I, we were having a pretty good time. You know, we were out there living pretty comfortable because we were able to take time off from work. We were doing a leave of absence because we were worried about how this whole coronavirus thing was going. But because of that, we were able to collect unemployment. So like, we were able to sit at home and be safe and get money rolling in from the government. So we were like, dang, like, you know, this is actually not that bad. You know, I was freaking out because I didn't know how the virus is going. I didn't know like how serious it was. I was like, is this thing a freaking zombie apocalypse, right? But I was like, at least we're, you know, kind of safe. We're out kind of in our spot. My parents live out in the country, so it's like we're kind of out by ourselves. We're collecting this money. We're able to just kind of watch TV all day and watch Netflix, have a good time. I was able to work out. You know, I was like going for runs and stuff, and I was like, this is like perfect. I was like getting me ready for the Marines. this is like a blessing. Then I was having some issues with finding the right job for the Marines. You know, they kind of were having a hard time because of Corona. They were having a hard time getting me a contract. So it was like, I was supposed to ship out, and I think it was May, and I was supposed to ship out in June, supposed to ship out in July. So it kind of started to feel like it wasn't gonna happen. But I was also like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna put all my chips into trying to join, and if I can't join, I was like, then I can walk away with the pride, like, hey, at least I gave it my all, right? I tried to join. If they don't let me join, it's fate. Like, God didn't want me to do that, right? Time's going by, and I'm like, it's kind of like getting close to the wire, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna actually join the Marines. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was like, that's like the worst of the worst, the hardest of the hard. Like, I was like, I am gonna die. I was like 22, I just turned 23. Couldn't quite wrap my head around that. And then my dog Riley, you know, he was really sick. And I was gonna spend like max time with him, which was amazing. But in June, he ended up passing away. You know, he was really sick, and you know, we did the best we could. We tried doing natural medicine. We tried doing like stuff they recommended, the veterinarian recommended, but it was too late. We couldn't do too much for him, so he ended up passing away. And thankfully, my brother was there. He helped me kind of handle it, and my wife was there as well, and she helped me. She suggested cremating him and being able to kind of, you know, take him with us when we left there, be able to bring him with us all our adventures. So I was really grateful for that. I was having a really rough time. You know, when I was filming this video originally, I was tearing up right now when I was talking about it. So I'm trying to hold it together for you guys, but it was really rough, I'm not gonna lie. And then after that happened, I was like, okay, you know what? I was like, I gotta get out of Idaho. The virus happening, my dog died. I was like, I need to get my life moving. I was like, I'm sitting here just like letting time pass me by, and things just keep getting worse. You know, I was in a lot of debt before that. And thankfully, because of coronavirus and because I wasn't spending a lot of money, I was able to pay off my debt. July came, and I got a contract to leave for the Marines. Things kind of were working out, and I was like, all right. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna hop on that freaking plane, and I'm gonna get out of here. And it was terrifying. You know, if you guys have been watching this video or this channel for a long time, you know that like I've talked about the military for a long time, and I haven't done it. And so to actually like it was the scariest thing, to actually grab the thing by the horns and go for it. Like, July 27th was the day I left. You know, right before that, I had a barbecue, or I had a little fire with my mom and my brother and my wife and stuff. We're all hanging out there, and I was looking up at the stars, and I just remember thinking like, I'm gonna be looking at these same stars just in San Diego, California. Well, I'm at literal hell. And I was like, this is such a trip, you know, to think about. And then July 27th came, and I hopped in that plane, and I took off. I was freaking out, you know, I am panicking, right? Because it's been years in the making. I was 23 when I got on that plane. I've been thinking about since I was like 19 of joining the Marines, and I'm like 4 years of just like, you know, this is such a terrifying thing. And I get there, and we had to quarantine for 2 weeks because of Corona, of course. So they thankfully had us stay in a hotel in downtown San Diego. It was really nice. Thankfully, all the other hotels were taken up, so they had us in this really nice one downtown San Diego, and I was able to overlook the water and everything, and it was decent. But I had 2 full weeks to sit there and like fully soak in the fact that like I had left my family and my wife and everything I'd known, and I was about to start hell. Like I was about to go through boot camp. That 2 weeks was horrible. I was dying. Thankfully, there was a phone in the room. My wife was able to call me like every other day, and we were able to talk some. And there's a TV as well. And then the 2 weeks was up, and finally I went to boot camp, and I picked up with India Company, which 3rd Battalion. If you're a Marine, you might care about that, but it was actually a lot better than I expected. I was expecting boot camp to be just like straight up horrendous, horrible torture, and it was actually pretty decent. You know, I mean, it was better than I expected. I'll say that. It wasn't decent. It was still hell. It sucked. It was a lot of misery, but it was a lot more doable than I expected. You know, I thought we were gonna be treated a lot worse. So I was like, wow, like maybe I can actually get through this. Maybe I can become a Marine. You know, I didn't expect that. A couple months into it, my leg had been hurting quite a bit for a while. Put it off. I thought it was okay. you know, I'd gone to medical and they told me it was a sore muscle, and they just gave me Motrin, you know, told me I'd be fine. We ended up going up. You start doing hikes towards the end of it before you become a Marine. I was doing these hikes and I'm like, my leg is hurting so bad. Like, I was like, dog, like, this is not gonna be, you know, this isn't okay. Something's wrong here. And finally, you know, my drill instructors, they told me I had to go to medical and, you know, figure it out. So I go to medical. Yeah, I was limping. I was hobbling around. You know, we're on the range we're supposed to be shooting, you know, to qualify, and I'm like limping around. I remember the way I was walking, it was so bad. I could like use my heel. I couldn't use my toes at all because it made it hurt worse. So I just like set my heel down. It was a weird limp thing with my left foot. And finally I went to medical and they told me that it was a fracture that went all the way across and my tibia. And so there's 2 bones in your leg. One of the bones had a fracture all the way across. And they're like, yeah, it started a stress fracture and you pushed it so it got worse. And I'm like, God damn, I'm like, I knew it hurt, but I just like was trying to get through this, you know, trying to finish boot camp so I could at least have my phone back and like not be stuck in boot camp when my leg was messed up. Like, you're getting dropped, you know, you're getting put in the medical holding platoon until your leg can heal. And so I got pulled away from my whole platoon, all my friends I had, my drill instructors, all that, and got put in the medical platoon. And that was horrible. And, you know, I remember I was able to call my wife, thankfully, and talk to her about it. And she was like, hey, like, whatever happens, you know, it's okay. This is all part of the plan. And she was very encouraging, even though I was like convinced that I was gonna go home. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna stick out. The Marine Corps boot camp is already 13 weeks long, and this was gonna tag on at least another 2 months from what I had heard. And I was like, there's no way I am gonna sit here. But my wife was like super on board. She was like, if you come home, like, we're gonna be back in the trailer, you're gonna be making minimum wage at a job. But yeah, she's like, you have to stick it out. God bless her, she was right. So I ended up going to the hospital after I got dropped, and they ended up telling me that I had to get a surgery. They were saying that they could either do a cast up to my hip that was gonna be like 6 months, probably 4 to 6 months until it was off, until I could go back to training, or they could do a surgery where they put a rod through my leg, you know, through the bone, and a couple screws to hold the rod in, and then I'd be able to, after 2 to 3 months, I'd be able to go back to training and finish. So I was like, you know what, I'll do the surgery over the cast. I didn't want the surgery, don't get me wrong, but I was like, I'll do the surgery, it's better than the cast. Did the surgery, ended up, you know, that was the whole, like, this is the whole thing, you know, being in that medical holding platoon for that couple of months. Like, it was horrible. You didn't have cell phones, you didn't have entertainment. You know, we got to watch movies on the weekends sometimes. We had books to read, and we got to get phone calls on the weekends, but again, they were short phone calls, so it wasn't that special. I'd given up, you know, I was like, I'm going home. I was like, screw this is torture. I was like, I'm going back to my wife. I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and be a recruit, you're not even a Marine, you know. And I was like, I'm not gonna be a recruit and be stuck here treated like this. I was like, I'm just gonna go home. But my wife, thankfully, she talked sense into me, and she was like, you know what, you have put so much effort, you've wanted to do this for such a long time, it's been such a big deal. She's like, if you just stick it out, like, she's like, if you come home, it'll be short-term gratification, we'll be so happy to see each other, we'll spend all this time, we'll be so happy, but she's like, after that, we'll be in the same situation we were in before you left. But she was like, if you push through, we could, you know, live somewhere really cool and have this really nice life. It's just, you know, gonna take a little bit more work to get. And so I sat there and I was like, she's so right. And I was like, I don't want her to be right now. I don't want to stay here. I was like, I want to come home. And because she said that, I was like, you know what, I gotta stick it out. So thankfully I made some friends. I ended up kind of getting productive while I was there and kind of got a purpose for being there. Ended up kind of getting on the other side of the spectrum. So my friends that I had that decided to pull the plug and go home and not become Marines, I kind of judged them, and I was like, dang, you gave up on all of us. Like, I was like, we're all sitting here like pushing through our injuries and getting back into training, and you just gave up. You made some lousy excuse and claimed, you know, you were gonna hurt yourself or something so you could go home. And I was like, we all have to sit here and stick it out. So kind of, I got a chip on my shoulder a little bit, but I was like, you know what, I'm glad that wasn't me. All that came and happened, and then I ended up going back through training. I was fortunate enough to pick up my original company, NDA company, and with my original drill instructors, 2 of them at least. So they knew me, they remembered me, which kind of a good thing, kind of not, right? They made sure I became a Marine, but they also made sure that I got I got trained properly, we'll put it there. Then right after that, you do this thing after a boot camp called MCT, where it's combat training, and you kind of get, it's pretty rough, honestly, it sucks, but you get some good foundations for if you ever do deploy and all that. So that was about a month long, finished that. Then right after that, you go to the school to learn your actual job. And for me, I'm an air traffic controller. So I talk to pilots, you know, land them at our airport and everything. So that's a 4-month long school. I was in holding for another month, and then I did the school as 4 months. I was there about 5 whole months in Florida. Finally finished that. And now my wife and I, we live in Southern California. So long journey, but it's been awesome, you know, getting to live out here. And we have a full house. You know, we bought this house. You know, I'm 24 years old right now, and we have a full house to ourselves. We have our dog Todd now. He's a good boy, he's awesome. And life worked out, you know. Things have been nonstop for the past like year and a half, and I can't believe it's been 2 years since I made a video pretty much. But hey, I got one coming for you guys now, and moving forward with the channel, I think that probably try to just upload whenever I feel like it. I don't think I'm ready to make a full return to YouTube and like upload daily or anything, but whenever I kind of have like a feeling to make a video, hey, maybe I'll make one. You know, try to explore maybe some new avenues, not just make vlogs or just me sitting here talking to the camera. Try to make some new videos, and we'll see how it works out. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. And if you made it to this point, please leave a comment below. Let me know, you know, what you've been up to, what your thoughts are on the video, and just let me know that you've seen it, because honestly, like, the only reason I want to upload is so people can watch it. If people aren't watching the videos, I don't really care to upload, and that's kind of how it felt. So if you did watch it and watch this point, please comment below. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys, and I will hopefully make a video and talk to you guys soon. Peace, y'all.